Welcome back to another True Crime Friday. Tonight, we're going to be looking at a case that I just recently stumbled upon. In fact, it was actually brought to my attention from a couple of friends from the Justice for David Crowley and family group. In fact, I was even in a live stream with them where I didn't really speak a whole lot, but I didn't know anything on the case, so I just wanted to listen for a bit before I chimed in. You can actually find that, I believe that should be on Greg Fernandez Jr.'s YouTube channel. So be sure to check that when you get a chance. So a huge shout out to Sophia Allen and Catherine Michelle for the research they've done on this case and all the details I've actually been able to receive from them. So thank you, ladies, for that. I appreciate that. All right, so on to the case. So just to break a few things down, because it has to be broken down. We have to look at who Kiely Rodni is, just for the case, because she's the victim here. So Kiely Rodni was a 16-year-old. She had just recently graduated high school and was getting ready to go to college. I believe she was going to be majoring in music studies. I don't remember the college she was going to be attending exactly, but I do know she was going to be going to college. And on August 5th, she attended a party that night over at the Prosser family campground, I believe it's called, Prosser Creek, Prosser family, something along those lines. But there was a party where it was going to be like 250 plus people. There's been several different images taken by several of the partygoers that were able to show the party that it was actually quite large. It wasn't super lit. It was actually really dark, which is kind of eerie, all things considered. But on August 6th, at 12:33 a.m., her phone had died, according to the FBI. Others are saying it was turned off, but just for data's sake, we're going to go off the FBI and say that it died. So her family had reported her missing not long after that. And on August 21st, Adventures with Purpose had discovered her car and her body. Authorities were contacted, and that's where we're at now. After the medical examiner got to looking at the body and all this, came to the conclusion that she had died of drowning. Lots and lots of questions here. Before we get into the full report and all the details and start really digging around, I want to get that out of the way. And you're going to see a few people popping up. Now, depending on where you're hearing this from, either the male here, which is supposed to allegedly is her current boyfriend, other sources are saying ex-boyfriend, but 18-year-old Jagger Westfall. All right, and you're going to also be hearing two female names, which were Kiely Rodni's female, or her friends, I should say, but they're female friends of hers, Sammy Smith and Kate Kuno. Sammy Smith is under a lot of controversy right now, as a lot of her stories have been able to be picked apart, and some people are even accusing her of lying. Well, when you give out exact times, claiming this actually happened and all this, but it's an impossibility, that tends to happen. So, whether you're telling the truth or lying there, Sammy, doesn't really matter. It's the fact you gave out wrong times. Therefore, people are going to pick you apart. That's unfortunately your fault at that point. But lots of holes are poked in her stories. So, there's that as well. Along with Jagger Westfall's, his story, his alibi, all this, there's a little bit more there. It seemed a little suspicious. I'm not going to go and say necessarily that he did or didn't. I won't even do this on an episode unless we can for sure 100% nail that down. Also, we'll be talking about the roadside assistance tow van, or, well, basically the driver, he drove our van over there to go and help her with her battery. So, but before we get into too much of that, let's get right into the details here. So, we're going to go and look over the police report. It's going to have the autopsy details from the medical examiner and the toxicology. Now, I've already overheard some of it, so, when I was in the live stream, so this isn't really new information, but we are going to go and take a quick data analysis of this. Now, I'm a bit of a different investigator. I don't need to show up at a scene. I don't need to, generally. Some cases, it requires it. But when working cold cases, obviously it's impossible. I don't need to check out the area. In fact, there's almost next to no reason I need to. I just need the photos, and I can play armchair detective all day and all night. I can break this down real quick and easy. And that's actually what's going to be needed on this, because it's the data. It gives us a whole lot of information here. So if we look at this report here, the coroner's final report of investigation, they claim this is a traffic accident, is what it basically falls under, as an accident. Didn't mean to happen. Funny thing, when her body is found in the back of the vehicle, died of drowning. So this would come down to, at this point, suicide, negligence, or homicide. But being found in the back of the vehicle, in a lake like that, that would actually, more or less, unless you found something to go and cover the wheel, or not the wheel, but the gas pedal, like a brick, a rock. But this, when it comes down to suicide, it would be impossible. Unless she didn't want to feel anything, was able to knock herself out. But except, can't be suicide either, because wouldn't somebody, if they're just going to go and lay in the back seat, let this happen, wouldn't they, I don't know, knock themselves out? So that way they don't know they're going. I mean, they know they're going because they're knocking themselves out, but wouldn't, it gets a little weird, and suicide can almost be 100% ruled out. You can get it narrowed down to basically maybe a 1% chance at most. But, like I said, this is a 16-year-old girl who had a bright future ahead of her. Why would she go and commit suicide? Doesn't make any sense. So we're looking at this one. This was on 8/21, so August 21st, 2022. This is at the Prosser Creek Reservoir. Gives you the GPS locations of 39.374240 and negative 120.159936 in Truckee, California. Interesting. Date reported, 6th of August, 10 a.m. So from there, at 10 a.m. to August 21st at 8:33 p.m. It took them that long to be able to find her. Keep in mind, she was only submerged in 14 feet of water, 55 feet off the shore, into the lake. 14 feet down, keep that in mind. Keep in mind how big her Honda CR-V is, which nobody would know without looking into the report, but that's the vehicle she was driving. It was a 2013, I think it was. Honda CR-V. Silver. 14 feet down, you'd still be able to see that. And more than likely, still be able to see quite a bit of that from the shore. We're going to keep going. Keep in mind, this is not Prosser Creek Reservoir, which they claimed it is. Okay, that's what they're saying. It's Prosser Creek Reservoir. It's actually Boca Reservoir. So, Lindsay Rodney Neiman and Daniel Rodney were contacted at California Highway Patrol's Truckee office at 9:45 p.m. on the 21st of August, and were notified there was a decedent located in the vehicle registered to Kiely Rodni. Positive identification was not able to be made at that time. Based on circumstantial evidence, the decedent is or was believed to be Kiely Rodni. They were advised of the pending pathologist's report for confirmation of identity and a cause of death. The investigator here was called to respond to Prosser Creek Reservoir to a peninsula southwest of Prosser Family Campground. I was advised a female decedent was located within the cargo space of the vehicle Kiely Rodni was reported to have been driving. He responded to the location to handle the coroner's case. They arrived on scene at approximately 7 p.m., and FBI agents, FBI crime scene technicians, Placer County Sheriff's Office deputies, California Highway Patrol officers, Truckee Police Department officers, and detectives from Nevada County Sheriff's Office were all near a tow truck. It's a lot of different law enforcement to go and have for one little missing teen. Her body was found. This person spoke to Detective Saunier, who advised them that law enforcement divers had hooked the tow truck's winch to a vehicle under the water and were assisting with recovering the vehicle. This person waited until the vehicle was removed from the water and was given permission to begin the investigation. So, body position. Get this. White female decedent located in the rear cargo compartment of the silver 2013 Honda CR-V, with the plate matching Kiely Rodni's vehicle. The right leg of the decedent was against the pillar of the back seat and resting near the headrest. The remainder of the decedent was behind the seats and not visible from outside the vehicle. FBI agents and technicians donned Tyvek suits and protective gear and entered into the vehicle. The body was removed under this person's supervision by FBI agents and FBI crime scene technicians. Once again, why is the FBI involved? There's a few different reasons. This could be because, it's a teenager. That happens. But also, if it was anything else, why? Unless it's bigger. But we don't know quite yet. The body was placed into a large black vinyl body bag. Visually inspected and the bag was sealed. No items were removed from the decedent's person, and the remains were later transported by Truckee Tahoe Mortuary directly to the Placer County morgue. Now, this is where we have to look at the body conditioning. Then you got to consider all things about the temperature of the lake. Okay, she's inside the vehicle, so temperature of outside temperature isn't really going to matter too much unless it affects the lake's temperature. That's all that matters here. But consider this. The body showed obvious signs of bloating, lividity, and decomposition. There was skin sloughing, and no positive identification could be made due to the decomposition present on the face. That means her face was pretty severely jacked up. Okay? It means her face had undergone quite a bit of decomp. Why is that? That means more than likely, I would assume at that point, I would assume damage. But from what? All right, so the mortuary. Detective Saunier told this person the decedent was going to be transported directly to the Placer County morgue and scheduled for examination on Tuesday. No mortuary photographs were taken by this investigator. Why not? Continue. System statements. They were advised by Detective Saunier that he believed that the decedent was May Rodni based on his investigation. This person did not obtain any additional statements related to this case while they were on scene. Okay, so we know that the funeral counselor, Alyssa Babcock, was the one who ended up arrived on scene and transported the decedent's remains. No property was taken at this time. The vehicle was to be towed by the FBI and taken to their facility in Sacramento for additional processing. Why? Why so soon? But okay. It's advised the vehicle would then be returned to the truck, they were advised that the vehicle would then be returned to the Truckee, California Highway Patrol office for their vehicle accident investigation team to perform their investigation. See, they're already trying to say it was an accident. If she's in the back of the vehicle like that, why? And we'll get into some suspicious things here in a second, too. But why? If she was driving, would she be in the back of the vehicle? It doesn't make any sense. Next, we have this from Deputy Damian Norden. On August 23rd, 2022, at approximately 10:20 in the morning, they received a phone call from Captain Sam Brown. Captain Brown told them the decedent in case 12202506 had been positively identified as Kiely Rodni. After they spoke to Captain Brown, this person called the decedent's parents, Daniel Rodni and Lindsay Rodni Nyman. I offered to meet with Daniel and Lindsay, and they both told him to update them on the phone. I told Daniel and Lindsay the decedent had been positively identified as Kiely Rodni. 2 days took to go and do that, but all right. On the 23rd of August, at 8:30 in the morning, this person, Detective Josephine Strachan, attended the autopsy for Keely Rodni at the Placer County Morgue in Roseville. At the completion of the autopsy, they collected the following items of jewelry removed from the decedent: miscellaneous jewelry, bracelets from right wrist, a necklace or necklaces, and rings. Items were transported to the sheriff's property unit and booked. Next. This is from Sergeant Jason Klinkenbeard on October 12th, 2022 at 9:30 a.m. This report was forwarded to the Coroner Division by Deputy Mackey with the Patrol Division. On August 23rd, 2022, Placer County Forensic Pathologist Dr. Gregory Reiber, MD, performed an autopsy on the remains of Kiely Rodni. Positive identification of the decedent had been made by Detective Josephine Strachan during the autopsy. Detective Strachan was present during the autopsy and documented her observations and the method of identification in a supplemental report to the original missing persons report, which is NCSO case number 1220-2364, supplemental report number 14. Klinkenbeard had recently received the pathologist's final report of autopsy, which listed the cause of death in this case as drowning. It's a little interesting, but okay. There were no other significant contributing conditions listed. I conferred with Detective Sonnier, and he told them that there was no indication of foul play regarding the criminal investigation into the death of Keeley. Regarding the criminal investigation. Isn't that nasty here? It's messed up, but we know it's not a suicide at this point. We know it's not an accident. This is homicide. Manner of death in this case has been determined to be accidental. Funny how it's listed as a criminal investigation. Which means it could have been something like negligence, or maybe there was an argument or a fight. Something happened. Ooh, look at this. Now this is interesting here in this report. They're looking at the liver. They're looking to see if she was drinking. Ethanol, 88. Okay. Presumably positive with nicotine, caffeine, and cotinine. I'm not really sure what that one is. And then positive for delta 9 carboxy THC. So they're saying that she had smoked pot or she had hotboxed with somebody something. There was THC in her system. Now there's a lot of different ways she can get THC in her system. Keep that in mind. Does she have to smoke? Mm-mm. For it to get in her liver? Mm-mm. Well, there's other ways. But I digress. But caffeine, she's a teenager. Soda, energy drinks, it's going to happen. You know, they're going to drink something like that. I mean, on my toxicology, if you were ever to see that, caffeine wouldn't be presumably positive. It would be, how is this guy still alive? I'm sure. But she also had apparently, presumably, nicotine and cotinine. We'll go into that in a little bit. It says there's a detailed findings section for additional information. So they wanted to do a post-mortem expanded tissue forensic test. Now these are the tests not performed. Part or all the requested testing was unable to be performed. Refer to the analysis summary and reporting limits section for details. White cap plastic container. This is a specimen received. White cap plastic container, 58 grams of liver tissue. Homogenate container, not given, but liver tissue. Ethanol 88 from liver tissue. Nicotine. This test is an unconfirmed screen. Confirmation by a more definitive test, such as GCs/MS, is recommended. They're saying reported limit was 250, and that's nanograms to grams. Caffeine, she had 0.4, so she was probably just coming down from it, or it had some a bit ago, or maybe a sip. Cotinine, 50 nanograms. Delta 9 carboxy THC, positive, 20 grams. Ethanol, other interesting thing here from the same liver tissue, 40 grams is the reported limit. And that's 40 milligrams per 100 grams. So this 250 nicotine, I'm pretty sure that could have just been she was around somebody that was smoking. Maybe she smoked herself, but it's nanograms per gram. Caffeine, 0.4 micrograms per gram of this tissue. How much tissue was this, though? See, that's the thing. This is where you have to look at it. She had 58 grams in her sampling. 58, that's it. So 80 per 100, that means it's less than 40. Less than 40 milligrams of ethanol. Well, more than 40-ish, I think. Yeah, maybe like 80 per 100, a little more than half. Be like 43, I think, something like this, 43 to 46 grams, if I'm not mistaken. Somewhere around there. Or milligrams. So you can see this is actually very, very low. This doesn't necessarily mean anything. She could have just been around people. It could have been from the night before. Okay, so she wasn't drunk. It's basically what it's saying here. Then they go over further. Then they say it was hydroxy delta 9, 11 hydroxy delta 9 THC. They start changing things. But you can see they start listing some more things. Salicylates, benzodiazepines, like cocaine, things like that. Buprenorphine. It's like opiates and cannabinoids. So you got your oxycodone, things like that. Or sorry, that's something different. Wow, that's like pot. You got cocaine, all this. They tested for all this. Opiates, oxycodone, all this. They tested for all of this. Okay. And they got to see this is everything that was, if I'm not mistaken, in her system. Had she done cocaine, she had 160 nanograms per gram. Is that a lot, though? And then you got to think about, well, people handle money all the time. You handle cash. I mean, most cash has probably touched cocaine and other drugs like that. Is there any chance you're going to get residual? Yeah. So we'd have to look at how much cocaine, nanogram per gram or whatever, if it's ingested. See what I mean? So you'd have to have these details so you can actually compare. So this will be the next one we do. I'll be doing this next week. And you can see they're trying to say, well, she was high on some things, she was drunk. It's basically what it looks like they're trying to assume, but we're going to break it down further next week. But we're going to continue going over what we have. But all they took was from the liver. Why didn't they go for blood? Why didn't they go for the stomach, the lungs? No, just the liver, because they're trying to go and prove that this was done because she was drunk or high, or drunk and high, or drunk or whatever. They're trying to go and pin it that way. They didn't do a full toxicology report like they should have. You want to prove accident. You want to prove this was her negligence or was an accident. You will prove it through that a lot of the time. They don't, though. At all. So let's read more about this. So the upper body is covered by spaghetti. This is her clothing. It's covered by spaghetti strap black French cut bodysuit. A pair of black briefs are on the lower body as well. The lower body is also covered by green twill pants with a black belt through the belt loops bearing multiple rivets. The belt appears buckled. A gray-green sneaker is on the right foot along with the multicolored ankle-length sock. A matching sneaker accompanies the body within the body bag, which means it was off her foot. That doesn't make any sense. Matching left sock is inside the loose left sneaker, except for the shoe being off the left foot. The clothing appears relatively normal in position. Personal properties include a white metal hoop through a piercing in the left alanase, which means through her left nostril, I believe, right ear has three white metal hoops through the helix and a small crescent moon-shaped stud earring through a piercing in the earlobe. Left ear has a post through the helix, a small ball stud through the upper earlobe, and a crescent moon stud earring through the lower earlobe. 3 yellow metal chains are around the neck, one of which has a small colorless stone, one of which has a small constellation-shaped pendant, and the third of which was a small disc-shaped pendant. An open, discolored yellow metal ring is on the left middle finger, and a heavy, darkened yellow metal ring is on the right middle finger. There are 5 bracelets on the right wrist, including a tan elastic band, a black fabric bracelet with a printed logo, a bracelet consisting of multiple black strings bearing a black or small disc-shaped pendant with an engraved letter, either P or D. The 4th bracelet is a light-colored beaded bracelet, and the 5th is a blue-green elastic band engraved with the lettering Bianchi and Lifetime Sea Otter Classic. A discolored string anklet is around the right ankle. A piercing in the umbilicus bears a white metal curved post with a small ball on one end and a white and orange metal disc on the other end. So her belly button is pierced, or like that belly button area. You know, some females do, and some guys, I guess. The orange metal disc portion has a central yellow stone. The engraving around the stone on the orange metal part of the jewelry reads Winchester 38 Special. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's a Supernatural reference. The unembalmed body is that of a slender white female in a state of moderate decomposition. There is generalized sloughing of epidermis, except for portions of plantar skin which readily separate from the bottoms of the feet and bear multiple toenails. A separately submitted segment of sloughed epidermis from one of the hands also bears a single thumbnail. Just a single thumbnail. There's mild bloating of the body and generalized discoloration of the exposed dermis, ranging from pale gray-green to dark maroon. There's no remaining rigor mortis and no lividity pattern is discernible. Strong odor of decomposition surrounds the remains. No post-mortem insect activity is present. The subject is normocephalic. There is no apparent external head trauma. Scalp hair is almost completely sloughed due to decomposition and consists of wavy blonde hair up to about 22 inches in maximum length. The facial features are distorted by decomposition and post-mortem positioning. The eyes are discolored from decomposition, although there is definition between the corneas and the conjunctivae. Interior chambers of the eyes are discolored from decomposition, and original color of the irises and definition of the pupils is obscured. The conjunctivae vary from pale maroon to pale green. The soft tissues of the nose appear normally developed but distorted from decomposition. Both nares are patent. There is no palpable nasal fracture. Other mid-facial bones are also palpably intact. The ears are softened from decomposition but appear symmetrical. A small amount of fluid is present at the right external auditory meatus, apparently from decomposition. There's no apparent discharge from the left ear. The teeth are natural and are in good condition. There's discoloration of the crowns of the teeth, which have a pale pink stain from decomposition. The oral mucous membranes show deterioration from decomposition with partial sloughing. This results in partial exposure of the anterior mandible and maxilla. These changes all appear consistent with post-mortem decomposition rather than trauma. There are no obvious intraoral injuries, which basically no inside the mouth injuries. A small amount of purge fluid is collected from the mouth. The lips are softened from decomposition and show loss of surface epithelium, but are otherwise unremarkable. The neck has a slender, symmetrical exterior contour without evidence of injury. Cervical spine is easily mobilized due to decomposition, but is palpably stable. The larynx and trachea are palpably midline. The chest is symmetrical, and the chest wall is palpably stable. The breasts are normally developed, adolescent female with palpable masses. Abdomen is slightly distended due to postmortem tissue gas formation and has a symmetrical external contour and shows no evidence of external injury. External genitalia are normally developed adolescent female with a closely trimmed pubic hair pattern. Speculum examination reveals no evidence of introital or vaginal trauma, so basically saying that she wasn't raped. There appears to be a cervical cap type device within the vaginal vault, see below, which I believe is birth control. The perianal skin shows discoloration from decomposition and is otherwise unremarkable. The upper and lower extremities are symmetrical and normally developed and show no apparent external trauma. An area of postmortem change on the left wrist at the radial side is about 4.5 centimeters by 1.5 centimeters, where there is splitting of the exposed dermis, which exposes underlying soft tissue. The margins of this area are smooth, and the area is consistent with dehiscence of a surgical scar. There is no discoloration suggestive of antemortem hemorrhage. Epidermis from both hands has been previously lost from decomposition along with the fingernails. One hand lost fingernails, the other one did not. Curious? Toenails have also separated with a macerated and sloughed plantar skin from both feet. The back is symmetrical and the spine is palpably stable at the midline. There is no visible trauma on the back. Scars and identifying marks. A small stippled tattoo of the number 17 is on the lateral right hip. There is a vaguely defined longitudinal linear surgical scar on the ventricle or the ventral left wrist. Postmortem radiographic scan demonstrates an orthopedic plate and multiple screws in the distal left radius. Interesting. So they're trying to say there was no broken bones. It's there as well. Internal examination. This is where you start to get to see some things that are a little interesting here. So the opening incision body cavity, standard Y-shaped incisions, reveals a subcutaneous fat thickness of 1.3 centimeters at mid-abdomen, which means she just had a little bit of fat there, not a whole lot. The pleural, pericardial, and peritoneal surfaces are smooth. No excess fluid or blood is found in the body cavities. There's no excess, which means there was still blood. The internal organs are normally arranged. Neck organs, the anterior soft tissues of the neck show discoloration from decomposition and marked softening. There is no apparent strap muscle hemorrhages, and the hyoid bone and laryngeal cartilage show no fractures, which means she wasn't strangled. Cervical spine is grossly intact. Heart weighs 90 grams and appears normally formed. The epicardial surface is smooth with a normal fat distribution. The myocardium is softened, moderately decomposed, and light red-brown. There are no obvious myocardial lesions, which means she didn't have any heart issues, hadn't had any previous ones. Ventricular walls appear relatively normal in thickness, and the cardiac chamber is normal in size, considering the state of preservation. Endocardial surfaces and valves show light staining from decomposition and are otherwise unremarkable. Coronary ostia are patent. Coronary arteries appear patent and normal in distribution. Dominance is uncertain. The aorta is patent, follows a normal course, and shows light orange discoloration from decomposition. See, now, so what one would do here, get the details in the organs. Okay? Now, compared to a case, get the details on what's normal, what's average for somebody this person's age. Start comparing things. Was she drunk? Was she, what was she going under? You'll find it's a little interesting here. So basically what all this says is that she's fine. Everything looks, for the most part, pretty normal. And you can just go through this whole thing. This is the one I want to go over. We're going to go over this last stuff here. Skeletal system. No acute skeletal injury is found on gross and radiographic examination. Dissection of the left wrist confirms the presence of orthopedic hardware attached to the ventral surface of the distal radius, consisting of a stainless steel 2-column volar plate held in place by multiple screws. So she had a metal plate. Something broke. Maybe she had some issues with something. They had to go and fix with surgery. Head reflection of the scalp reveals light maroon stain of the deep scalp tissues, predominantly on the right side, consistent with lividity under the effects of decomposition. Skull is intact and normal in thickness. The dura is smooth and intact. There's no evidence of epidural or subdural hemorrhage. Removal of the dura reveals no skull fractures. So somebody didn't crack her skull, and nobody hit her that hard. If they hit her, but they don't clearly say that she couldn't have been attacked. Is a skull easy to fracture? Somewhat. So, but that's what they're trying to say here, is that no, she basically just, this is kind of a suicide thing. There was an accident. Well, what kind of accident is this? It's not an accident. And all they're trying to say here is right here. It says right here, post-mortem toxicology on liver tissue positive for ethanol. They're trying to say that she was drunk. That's not even a 0.8. That's what we got for this. That's what we got on just the report. I'm going to show you guys something. Just let me bring something up real quick. You guys are going to find this interesting. So, all right, gotta go and pull this up then. You guys will find these screenshots very interesting. So, as you can see here, who's in chat? Okay, we're going to continue. Definitely struggling with the internet here. Right there, you can see what right here that's circled. That's the vehicle. Shore is right here. Can clearly see it right there. That's on the 10th day, so that would have been on the 16th. They'd been in this area. How didn't they see that? Next one. 10th day of search, going right over it. Right there. How do they keep going over that? This doesn't make any sense. So let's go over some of the suspects. First one we got. Somebody I suspect, at least. Is he necessarily a suspect on our list? Well, they did say it was a criminal investigation, therefore it is a criminal investigation. Even though at the same time they also say, well, but it was ruled an accident. That's what they're ruling it as. Did David Crowley kill himself? No. Did Justin Anders? No. Did the Oslo woman? No. So it makes this a little weird. This guy's Instagram also gets a little odd. He also made an additional one. Him or somebody that was in love with her, at least, but it's similar to, there's very, very similar writing styles. Found dead, August 21st, 2022. Kiely Rodni, right? Her boyfriend, see, now they're saying, well, that's her boyfriend. Jagger Westfall issued a tribute for his lost, quote, love, end quote, after her death was confirmed. So who is Kiely Rodni's boyfriend, Jagger Westfall? He was dating Kiely Rodni at the time of her death, apparently. Westfall is an 18-year-old car photographer from Napa Valley, California, according to his Instagram bio. Curious as to how he got all of his business anyways, but that's besides the point. He has over 1.5K followers on the social media platform and often posts pictures of cars on his profile. What did he say about the night of Keely's disappearance? In an interview with Fox 40, Jagger told the outlet that he and Keely exchanged texts before she left for a party at the Prosser family campground. And so I was just like, okay, be safe. Don't do anything stupid, Jagger said. He said he was also complaining about his day to her, but she responded about 10:30 p.m. Jagger told the outlet she responded with, "Oh, I'm sorry that you're going through that." But that was the last time he heard from her. Now, we can't say for sure that his didn't happen. We don't have the phone records. If we have the phone records, we can go and start proving some things. However, we can't at this point. But what we can say, however, is that it's before 12:33, which means it's before her phone was off. On August 22nd, Jagger posted a video on Instagram of himself and Keely hugging in bed. He captioned the video, "You are my entire world and you will always be. I will never love someone the way I loved you. I missed you even when I was holding you in my arms. I could never get enough of you. I promised I would always be here for you and I still am. Hashtag LLK." Quick side note on this, because it has to do with this hashtag here. LLK. A few different things, this pops up a lot. Long live the king, or laugh like Kira. Now, he could have been trying to make his own little hashtag and saying long live Keely. Is it possible? Yes. But laugh like Kira. Interesting. If you don't know who Kira is, that this hashtag often refers to, it's Kira from Death Note, an anime where the main character, Light Yagami, is referred to by his followers, if you will, as Kira, which that's just because of the trope that people in Japanese anime, usually when they're speaking Japanese and all this, they generally can't. They don't pronounce the double L. They usually pronounce it as an R. So if you were to translate it completely, it would come out to Killa, or killer. Which, from there, Kira, like I said, I don't want to get too much into it, but Kira would kill people with signing people's names and ways of them to die in a notebook. In a death notebook, to be exact, which was like basically a magical, supernatural type of notebook that would kill people. So that's where that comes from. Weird hashtag to put if you're in love with somebody. Very, very peculiar. On August 2nd, he posted a video of the two embracing near the water, which he claims was taken without her knowledge. It could seem as cute or sweet, but kind of creepy. You know, Keely, I took this video without telling you. I knew that I needed to save that moment of holding you close at sunset. going to live the way you want me, or you would want me to live from here on out. Going to be a better person. I'm going to take care of your friends. I'm going to take care of your family, and I'm going to help anyone who needs it. I know that's what you want me to do. I love you so much, my beautiful angel. I'm not giving up on you. Hashtag LLK. The Dove and Heartbreak. He also took to his Instagram story to feature a tattoo on his forearm dedicated to Keeley that reads, "Stay alive for me." Really? It's a little peculiar. He wrote, "I want all of you to look at this and remember what Keeley would want. We all need to stay strong for her family, and for each other. Nobody is in this alone. If anyone needs to talk about literally anything, I'm here for you. Keeley would want me to keep her friends and family safe, and that's what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. After all this, you are all my family." Once again, might seem sweet. Except, then you have to start picking apart his Instagram. Before she was even found at all, before she was missing, or around the time she went missing, all this, you can go through his things he was tagged in, he was in all that. A little interesting, if you will. And it's kind of peculiar when he's being tagged by another female during this time as well, especially considering when allegedly there was an argument between Keeley and another female at that party, which I hadn't mentioned yet, but I figured this is a good time to mention, better than any.